Brian, I could probably let this down here for you, huh? At this time, I would like to welcome my good friend Brian Worston. He is going to do the national anthem for us in his imitable style. Thank you, Brian.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
At this time, can you hear me? Oh yeah, here we go. At this time, we have the Exchange Club is going to honor the Veterans Day Parade Grand Marshal, and Mr. Al Littman, City Councilman, is going to make that presentation. Thank you.
For the past 8 years, I've had the honor of being the chairman of the Veterans Day Parade. And for the past, I believe, 8 years also, I've had the honor of presenting a special plaque to the Grand Marshal each year for our Veterans Day Parade. I mentioned earlier, I believe, to a number of people that we've got nearly 3,000 veterans in our area. So to select somebody each year to be the Grand Marshal of the parade is not an easy task. But this year it was pretty easy, because we've got a veteran that if he was to tell you about his experiences over his 20 years in the Air Force, you would be here till 5 o'clock tonight. We're not going to do that. This year I'd like to announce, for those of you that weren't aware or didn't come to our parade, that Chuck Thompson is our Grand Marshal, and this plaque says, "In thankful recognition of your service to our country, 1000 flags over Mesquite, the Exchange Club of Mesquite." This gentleman is more than deserving of this award, and I give you Chuck Thompson, Grand Marshal this year of 17th Annual Veterans Day Parade, U.S. Air Force, retired.
I'd like to thank the committee, the parade committee, and it was a great honor. It's kind of a surprise, but it was a great honor, and I thank the Exchange Club for this beautiful plaque. Thank you all.
Thank you. At this time, I would like to welcome Judge Ryan Toon, who is in charge of our Mesquite Justice and Municipal Court. Justice Toon, thank you.
Exchange Club members, distinguished community leaders, honored guests. It is a great privilege for me to have the opportunity to share a few words with you this afternoon. As I stand before you this afternoon with 1,000 U.S. flags at my back, it is impossible not to feel the press of history, to consider those who have lived and died, not for themselves, but for our country, and also to think about those who will come after us. As we look at the sea of vivid red, white, and blue, a beautiful field of stars and stripes, we each have the opportunity to remember the story of our flag and to contemplate its meaning. The Star-Spangled Banner, our national anthem, which was just beautifully sung for us, proclaims, "And the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there." Our flag, still flying amidst the smoke of warfare, gave hope to Americans and continues to be a symbol of freedom, hope, and unity. And it does so in both times of peace and war. The opportunity to participate in the 1000 Flags event this year has been a meaningful one for me. As I've had the opportunity to walk through the flags, I've thought about the military service provided by members of my family. Earlier in the week, I had the opportunity to volunteer one night and watch over the flags in a beautiful, peaceful night. And I was able to join another volunteer, and I learned that he was a veteran who had served our country during the Cold War. I learned of his love for our country, his love for his family, and I learned about his grandson who had recently been serving in the military in Afghanistan. I also learned that he had been providing service to those who are less fortunate in our community and our county. What a wonderful experience. What a wonderful man. And what a good reminder for me of the wonderful things people are doing in our community. I also had the unique opportunity to walk through the flags one night with a man who had come to our country as a young boy. You see, in the country where he lived, there was a revolution going on and there were atrocities that were taking place. And freedoms were being denied to families like his. And so he was welcomed into this country and was able to become a citizen. And how grateful he was to live in this country where he has freedoms. I am thankful for these experiences, and I hope that each of you have had an opportunity to walk through the flags and have your own meaningful experience. A week ago or so, when these flags went up, I brought my two oldest boys because I wanted them to see the flags go up and to help with the project. As I watched the volunteers respectfully take each flag to its perfectly aligned position in the field, I was reminded of those who carried the flags into battle for our country years ago. Years ago, my wife and I were living on the East Coast. When we had a free moment, we liked to visit a museum or go to a Civil War historical site. And it was during these visits that I learned that the job of flag bearer was one of the most important, but one of the most hazardous duties that existed in the Army. You see, the soldiers looked to the flag for inspiration, and they looked to the flag as to where they should go. And the flag bearer was usually out in the front, drawing heavy fire while he held the flag high. I'd like to tell you about Private Joseph Brandel and Sergeant William Carney. They were two who held the flag during the Civil War. 150 years ago yesterday, November 16, 1863, Regimental Color Bearer Private Joseph E. Brandel from the 17th Michigan Infantry participated in a battle near Lenoir, Tennessee. During the battle, Private Brandel was twice wounded, but he held the flag high. The eyesight in one of his eyes was completely destroyed during the battle, but it was only when his regimental commander instructed him to go back to the rear that he did so. Private Brandel was later awarded the Medal of Honor, the United States military's highest honor for his acts of valor, acts that were above and beyond the call of duty. That same year, Sergeant William Carney entered the military and became a member of what was called the 54th Massachusetts Voluntary Infantry. You may remember that this regiment was depicted in the movie Glory that came out back in 1989. Well, in July of 1863, Carney found himself in the midst of battle. After being wounded, Sergeant Carney saw that the color bearer had gone down a few feet away from him. Carney summoned all the strength that he had, retrieved the colors, and continued the charge. During the charge, he was shot several more times, yet he kept the colors flying high. Once delivering the flag back to his regiment, he told his friends, "Boys, I only did my duty. The old flag never touched the ground." Sergeant Carney also received the Medal of Honor for his acts of valor. Although most of us will probably not be called upon to act heroically under fire like Private Brandel and Sergeant Carney, we can each still find ways to help our country and to give service, whether we are young or old. I've been impressed by the story of a persistent young man named Robert Heft, who found a way to serve our country. I'd like to tell you his story. In the late 1950s, the United States was about to add 2 new territories, Alaska and Hawaii, as states to the Union. That presented a small problem to Congress. You see, Congress has the responsibility of the design for the flag. Now, with 48 states, it was easy to show the design with 6 rows of stars with 8 stars in each row. But how do you add 2 more stars and still have a respectable pattern? Well, there was a school teacher in Lancaster, Ohio, who gave the problem to his students as a school project. A student by the name of Robert Heft had an idea. He thought that if the pattern alternated between a row of 6 stars followed by a row of 5 stars, there would be a regular and symmetric pattern. Altogether, there would be 5 rows of 6 stars and 4 rows of 5 stars, for a total of 50 stars. One source indicates that Robert spent hours sewing stars onto a piece of cloth. He turned his project in, but his teacher gave him a B- for his efforts. Now, Robert didn't give up. He knew he had a good idea, and so he submitted his idea to his congressman. Congress liked the idea, which a few others also submitted, and as Alaska and Hawaii became the 2 newest states to our union, the U.S. flag bore the design of a schoolboy, Robert Heft, from Ohio. According to a statement later attributed to Robert, his teacher later changed his grade from a B- to an A. It has been said that history will not long remember most, or perhaps any of us, but it will judge us by the legacy that we leave. Thank you, Exchange Club members, community leaders, city staff, and volunteers for giving us an opportunity this last week to remember what it means to live in the United States and to enjoy the freedoms that we enjoy. Thank you for helping us to remember the legacy of those who've gone before us and those who continue to serve us today, especially our veterans, military members, and first responders. And thank you for giving us an opportunity to think about the legacy that we want to leave for those who will come after us. It is my hope that each of us will recommit ourselves after this event today to leave a positive legacy. I hope that we will continue to look for ways to serve others, whether it's in a heroic manner like Private Brandel or Sergeant Carney, or perhaps in a more simple manner like young Robert Heft, who didn't give up on his good idea. As we put forth a good effort and work together, there's no doubt in my mind that we can make positive, lasting contributions to our community, our state, and our nation. Thank you.